it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
Week 13 kicks off with another Patriots loss and more offensive struggles for them, and an AFC Championship rematch that I cannot wait for. I'm Adam Wright with CJ Medeiros. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. So, CJ, we are going to start off with the Patriots, and we are both Patriots fans, and this has definitely been a really tough season to watch for us. But so I wanted to kick off by talking about, so not only did they lose, the offense looked sluggish, but also Mac Jones showed a little bit of displeasure from the sidelines, yelling at Matt Patricia, saying that what they were doing just sucks. It doesn't work. He straight up said that. And during a press conference, he did kind of apologize. He said, I let my emotions get the best of me. But what he's feeling is kind of what most of Patriots fans are feeling right now. And CJ, I want you to give me, because I know you have some strong feelings, I want you to give me a little bit of your 2 cents here. Give us a piece of your mind.
Oh, this is a fun day. I thought you'd never ask. Let's get this show on the road. So, there are some awful people in this world. You may know them. You've probably heard of them. There's people like Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin, Matt Patricia. All right, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but Matt Patricia, when he was brought back on offense, I said, why? Everyone's like, oh, Bill has a plan. Well, if he does, plan doesn't work. It doesn't friggin' work. And I don't know who thought it was a good idea to have Patricia calling plays.
Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's like, I'm at a loss for words. The Patriots offense with Cam Newton statistically was more productive than it is now. Do you know that?
I actually didn't know that, no.
Yeah, I saw something how it said McDaniels and Newton were more effective than Patricia and Jones. And our offense, just on paper, is better than that one. It is. And we've got talent. Mac has shown flashes. He's starting to look like how he did his rookie year, which was pretty good. You have Ramondre Stevenson, who's blossoming into a great RB1. Harris is hurt, but he's still a good tandem, with Stevenson. Devontae Parker has been kind of hit and miss. Tyquan Thornton's shown flashes. Jacoby's really good, and Bourne and Aguilar have, been decent when we throw to them. But, Jonnu and Hunter Henry are an underrated tight end duo. But I just, the play calling's horrible. I'm starting to miss Josh McDaniels. That's how bad it is. The Patriots have the second worst red zone offense in the NFL. They're only getting a touchdown on 39% of their red zone trips. Yeah. Look, since this is a podcast, and if you're listening on one of our platforms, you probably can't see Adam's face, but yeah, it was not a happy one. Let me tell you. I'm sorry. I'm not being very detailed, but I am just so flustered with Patricia. I truly am. In fact, a lot of my fellow Patriots fans, including myself, are genuinely considering not watching again until Patricia's gone. And the worst part is, I have this sinking feeling that Patricia won't be fired because it's nepotism. Bill brought him back, and he brought Joe Judge back because he's familiar with them. And he's going to have his little circle there while our team's being run into the ground. I know, Adam, you say defense and running the ball. But let me tell you something. That conservative ball, it doesn't work. Not in 2022. Defense and running the ball can get you pretty far, but you're not going to win with it.
Got to execute it correctly.
But still, this is the league of the high-flying, pass-first, explosive gadget offense. The game is passing our scheme by. Our scheme's been passed by. It's obsolete. Bill's coaching like he's in 2013. And look, I love Bill. I do. And I will be forever grateful. And there are these stupid, almost cultist Patriots fans like, oh, he has a plan. You gotta trust. And it's like, you know what? Shut up. Just shut up. And if anyone here shares that sentiment, do not ever speak to me, because your blind following just keeps emboldening him. And he made the decision to bring back Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. And look what's happening. Are you happy now? No, you're not. And it's like, you just can't defend this. And look, Bill's not a bad coach, but his personnel decisions, I question. And like I said, it's not about Bill's coaching. It's not about his drafting. It's not about his free agent decisions. I'm talking about his coaching personnel decisions, which have been nothing short of awful. And you know, he tries, but I mean, it's not for lack of trying. I mean, he even tried to fix the O-line, and you know, that fell apart. But then again, Andrews is kind of the glue that holds them together, and he got hurt, so I can't blame that on him. But does our O-line hate Mac? Because Mac's like running for his life every play. You know, there's always like a guy in his face like, oh, he takes too many sacks. Well, if our O-line could block for more than 2 seconds, I don't know. And it's like, why has also. This is the second straight year where we can't utilize our tight ends, or at least not both of them very well. Is the 2 tight end concept foreign to Patricia? I know Patricia's like, ooh, he's a smart guy. He can build an airplane. He's an engineer. Well, guess what? Building airplanes is kind of different from calling a football game. You know, because with airplanes, you got instructions. Football actually requires strategy. I'm not saying Patricia is not IQ smart, but when it comes to the X's and O's, I have some questions. I mean, he failed as a coach in Detroit, and if he couldn't coach Detroit's offense, why can he coach New England's? I know I'm going on forever, but nothing will get better until Patricia is gone, and probably Judge for good measure. But if we move Judge back to special teams, I wouldn't have an issue. But Patricia, the modern NFL has passed Patricia by, and I can only hope that Bill recognizes this, but I genuinely don't think he will. And I know Bill's results oriented, but I think he just likes Patricia too much. And finally, Mac Jones had every right to yell at Patricia. I know it's like, oh, how dare the players raise their voice at their coaches? The coaches are there to coach, and they coach the players. They're the authority figures. Yeah, what do you do when your authority figure couldn't predict 6 o'clock at 5:59? We have an issue. Mac has every right to yell at Patricia, and there's some very valid criticism Patricia needs to face up to, but he won't. That is all.
And I've heard Hunter Henry speaking on this as well, and it seems like he not only does he back Mac Jones, but he also kind of speaks on the fact that he doesn't get involved in that offense really at all. And like, how do you go from being a focal point to last season's team, which made the playoffs, to disappearing off the face of the earth, along with Kendrick Bourne? And then, you know, in that same stretch of time, the Patriots are falling from the playoff picture. You know, you look at that. This is a team that should be, you know, they should be better than they are. They're underachieving. They may not have the best weapons in the world, but their offense, they're pieces that are functional enough so that you could, if everything is working the way you want it to, they could make a playoff run. I think Devontae Parker as your best wide receiver, and Kendrick Bourne as your wide receiver 2.
What about
Jacoby Myers and kind of wide receiver 2B. 2A and 2B, you know, I think it's really hard to pick between the 3 of those guys because they're all really good pieces that are very underrated. But they have pieces on that offense where if everything was working the way we would want it to, then they should be a playoff team. I think that's their ceiling, but they're not even close to that. They could wind up with another top 15 pick at this rate.
And then we probably traded away too for like a 7th and a bag of chips.
Right. So I'm just like, I've always been skeptical on Mac Jones ever since he was drafted. I was like, okay, let's see what he's got. In his rookie year, he looked solid, but I wanted to see him make that jump. He's regressed, but
through no fault of his own, I might add.
All right. And listen, the way I've always seen it is that it's the majority of your success is going to be from the quarterback. So I usually look at the quarterback, but there's other factors that you could look at here when you're trying to develop a guy. Number one, the offensive scheme has been god awful, and they have a defensive guy playing offensive calls, along with
not even a good defensive guy, I might add.
Okay, well that's besides the point. However, also offensive line has been brutal this year, and a lot of it's been injuries. But also, I don't really blame the offensive line, because if you are a truly great quarterback, you should be able to get over that. You should be able to work through it. All of the best quarterbacks have had to work through that, and most of the time they make the playoffs, or at least they show that they can play with a less than perfect offensive line.
Patrick Mahomes had that in the Super Bowl and got destroyed.
That's one game.
Yeah, and it was a pretty darn big game, if I do say so myself.
Right, but
yeah, it's one game.
I'm talking about through an entire season. And that offensive line was like bottom of the barrel. It was almost worse having nobody there. I mean, that was bad.
Here's the thing. When Brady,
both of their starting tackles were gone.
The Patriots won.
And their center was gone.
No.
They had no one.
No, yeah, that's all well and good. But as a Pats fan, how many Super Bowls have we won when we had offensive line woes? Not a one.
2014.
No, our O-line was good. We had Vollmer, we had Connolly, and we had Solder as well. This is back when Solder was good.
2015, they made a playoff run. Their offensive line was god awful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, but I didn't ask you about playoff runs. I asked you about Super Bowl runs. How many Super Bowls have we won with a bad O-line? Not one. So it doesn't matter how great you are. You can't win with a bad offensive line.
But what I'm talking
how it is.
You can't win the Super Bowl every year. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes,
and during those imperfect seasons, I want to see that you can at least fight back from that. You could miss the playoffs. You could make the playoffs and be out in the wild card round. So be it. But I want to see you be able to carry an imperfect team to at least have the chance to be good. But if you throw your hands up like an Aaron Rodgers and just say, well, my offensive line sucks. Guess I'm done for this year. Guess I'm going to check out. But look at my stats. My stats are at least good. I don't like that. I don't like that. I hold that standard towards any quarterback.
So what's your point? Mac isn't doing that.
My point is,
you have a legitimate excuse. Even when Rodgers' offensive line is banged up, he still sucks.
My point is, even with the offensive line, I put it more on the coaching. And before I make a final judgment on Mac Jones, I want to see the coaching staff to improve. If he's still playing like a mediocre quarterback, like a Kirk Cousins level quarterback at best, by the time that this is all said and done, then I want them to look elsewhere for a quarterback, because I'm not sure, because it's just the way that it's with Jones's physical abilities and with his IQ level. If you are going to play the way you are, if you are going to be like a Tom Brady type of quarterback, you need a high IQ to be able to play with that play style. Same with Kirk Cousins. He's still good. He's okay, but he's not Tom Brady level, because that guy is freaking mega mind.
Yeah, that's all well and good, but there's never going to be another Tom Brady. Yeah, so you may as well just say you may as well not even compare. And
but if you have that play style, then you need to be that level. That's what I'm trying to say.
So would you rather us get a mobile quarterback? Because that's not going to work. Bill doesn't do mobile quarterback.
Let me ask you this. Take Patrick Mahomes' brain out of his skull and put it into Tom Brady's body. Do you think that he's anywhere near the same quarterback? No, I don't see that.
Not really, no.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Mac Jones doesn't have the physical abilities to make up for anything. He has to work with his brain. And I wonder if he can.
And he can't do that if his coaches are terrible.
That's what I'm saying. Improve the coaching. If this guy still isn't able to play, by the time that has happened, then get this guy out of here. Get him out of here. This is New England. We're looking to win championships.
Look, I mean, I know, but it's like if you think about it, actually really think about it, did he really ever have a chance? We threw him right into the fire. We've never given him a wide receiver one. We've never given him a competent offensive coaching staff. We've never given him a tried and true healthy offensive line. It's like we just threw him right into the fire and said, oh, we expect you to be the next Brady. That's going about it completely the wrong way.
I think the offensive coaching staff was fine before Josh McDaniels left. I think
McDaniels was terrible.
I think McDaniels is a pretty good offensive mind.
No, he is not.
As a head coach, he's not very good.
No, even as an offensive mind. Even last season, I hated our offense. His whole scheme was dink and dunk, run up the gut, screen pass, punt. That was literally his thing.
Well, it made for a 10-7 record, and Mac Jones had one of the better rookie seasons of any quarterback ever.
Yeah, but is that on Mac or is that on McDaniels? Because you cannot deny. You can see the difference from when we had Brady versus when we didn't. McDaniels got exposed without Brady.
Well, you can see the difference night and day from one guy to the other. One guy heavily utilized Hunter Henry, who they spent a lot of money on. The other guy isn't.
Look, I'm not saying he is better than Patricia. But then again, that's like saying
one guy involved Kendrick Bourne. One guy involved Kendrick Bourne led to a 10-7 record.
But that doesn't mean he's
a wide
good.
receiver. Turned him from a wide receiver
it's like
3
having
at
a
best
dirty garbage
in San
can
Francisco.
And a polished garbage can.
You got to let me finish here, CJ. Turned him from a wide receiver 3 at best in San Francisco to a wide receiver 2 here in New England as the wide receiver 1. And it led them to a 10-7 record. Then they went in this past offseason and got Devontae Parker, who is at his ceiling a low-end wide receiver 1. They haven't done anything with that. They've only used Parker. They barely used Myers enough. And then Kendrick Bourne has fallen off the face of the earth.
But see, here's the thing. That doesn't make McDaniels good. That makes him better than Patricia, and that is not a high bar.
It's the same thing with Hunter Henry. And there's other things to improve on from last year. I agree. But you were working with a rookie quarterback. Your weapons were just good, not great. They were good. And your offensive line was solid, pretty good. And their defense, I thought, was imperfect. I know the defense played really well earlier in the year. I don't think it was that good. It was not that good of a defense. If you remember that rushing defense was not very good. They were allowing yards left and right early on in the year. And it's just a new quarterback that they were working with. There's only so much you can do with a rookie. That's all I'm saying. Now you go into the sophomore year, and you replace Josh McDaniels with a defensive mind, a defensive guy.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah,
that's what you got to improve on that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's not like McDaniels was good though. Is my point. He wasn't good for the long term. I mean, look at that. I mean, he now has upgraded to Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, and Devontae Adams. And they're not even a 500 team.
Yeah, but that's head coaching. Head coaching is a lot different than being the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but
we all know he doesn't work as
even top 10. And with their roster, they have no reason not to be.
Also, you're looking at just their skill positions. That offensive line, that offensive line for the Raiders is not good at all. Also, their defense is, besides two players on the edges, kind of sucks.
But see, here's the thing. My point is McDaniels better than Patricia? Yeah. But is he actually good and would have helped us in the future? I would argue no. I'm saying, we need. Yes. So let me get this straight. If McDaniels stayed around, do we win another Super Bowl? Do we keep taking strides? I don't think we do.
I think we do.
No. In what way? McDaniels has been exposed without Brady. I mean, and here's the thing. You could say, yeah, it's Tom Brady, but like it's becoming abundantly clear. I'm not saying McDaniels isn't good, but I'm saying we have to do better. You said it yourself. We're going after championships.
10-7, and a wide receiver 3 as a wide receiver 1. Like, okay, Kendrick Bourne is not a real
just
number
for them
one.
To curl up and die against Buffalo.
You can't you have to learn to walk before you run.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then
so
they still got crushed. You can't just. So it's like, what's the point?
They went.
You
7
said it
and
yourself.
9.
You're trying to win championships.
They went
you
7 and 9.
You said it yourself.
I know.
It's like, but and he's not. He was not going to do that. It was clearly more Brady than McDaniels.
You can't go from 7 and 9 in one year to a Super Bowl champion in the other, especially with a rookie quarterback. It doesn't work that way. It's a process. You have to be taking steps in the right direction.
Yeah, look, we both agree they're taking steps in the wrong direction, but I'm just saying McDaniels was never the answer. He was still not very good. Even during that season, I distinctly remember you said you wish we had somebody else.
As the offensive coordinator?
Yes.
I never said that.
Yes, you literally did. Okay, not on the show, but I mean, I still knew you that you literally were not happy with the offense.
With the offense? Well, maybe from a personnel standpoint.
But still, it's like, if you look at my point is McDaniels isn't the answer. Patricia wasn't the answer. And I just want to end by saying we need a real, like one of those young hot shots. You know what I mean? Like one of those confident offensive minded guys. I mean, maybe not as a head coach or as an offensive coordinator, you know, like Mike McDaniel or Kevin O'Connell, like someone on offense, just poach a big name from somewhere else, because I know Bill won't, but he should.
I agree. They should do that. I don't know if they will.
No, they're not gonna.
But I would have been. I would have been fine with Josh McDaniels, and we're going to agree to disagree.
Yeah, that's fair.
We do have to move on, and I want to get to this next matchup this Sunday between the Chiefs and Bengals, which happens to be an AFC Championship rematch, and also both teams deep in the playoff picture. We're going to talk about that and who has the edge in that matchup this year. We're going to talk about that next. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins! Sammy Watkins for the touchdown!
This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright here with CJ Medeiros. So, this Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Chiefs are going to be traveling to face the Bengals. Now, this is a rematch of this past year's AFC Championship, where the Bengals pulled off the upset, and it seems like the Bengals in this past year have had their number because they faced each other earlier on in 2021 as well, and the Bengals just outscored them then too. And both of these teams are in similar positions as of recent weeks. So the Bengals 7-2 in their last 9 games. The Chiefs same record during that stretch of time. So both teams red hot, and they're kind of getting close to full strength. I know the Chiefs are missing Kadarius Toney still. They just got Juju Smith-Schuster back, but Mecole Hardman's still on IR. On the other end, Jamar Chase is coming back this week, and he'll be back for the rest of the year, barring another injury. But CJ, who has the edge in this matchup?
Oh boy, that's hard. Frankly, I don't know, because Jamar Chase is back, but knowing Zach Taylor, you can make a case that he's probably going to be on a snap count, and I don't know if he's going to be that big coming off an injury. I mean, you never know; he could be, but I mean, just from a weapons standpoint, I would argue the Bengals, Because even still, you have Tyler Boyd and you have T. Higgins and you have Joe Mixon, whereas Mahomes has like Marquez Valdez-Scantling and a newly returning Juju Smith-Schuster to throw to, and their running game has all but disappeared. You know, I mean, they just picked up Melvin Gordon, but that guy fumbles left and right. Am I wrong?
No, yeah.
And they don't use Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Isaiah Pacheco is only good in short bursts. But then I would argue that the Chiefs' defense is a little bit better than Cincy's, but especially that Chiefs pass rush, with Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. But I just because of the offense firepower alone, I lean Cincinnati. Plus, home games do matter. If it was an Arrowhead, I would lean more towards Chiefs. But when you factor in the superior offensive firepower, just in terms of weapons alone, I mean, obviously Mahomes is better than Burrow, but Burrow's just got better weapons. I mean,
Burrow holds his own in his own right, too.
Yeah. I mean, Burrow's O-line's bad, but the Chiefs pass rush, that could be interesting. But then again, plain and simple, Burrow's just got the weapons to get it out fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, I can list off the top of my head the spots where the Bengals are inferior to the Chiefs. Quarterback, that's an obvious one, even though Joe Burrow holds his own. Defense, maybe. Offensive line, that's an obvious one. Besides that, the running game, the Bengals are much better. The passing game, the Bengals blow them out of the water at that spot, especially with Jamar Chase coming back. And in the running game, as you mentioned, it's non-existent. Their lead rusher right now is Isaiah Pacheco, who's all right. He's a solid back.
Do you know his numbers or what?
455 yards, 2 touchdowns. He averages, and it's a small sample size, but this season he is averaging. Is that right? He's averaging 7.5 yards a carry.
Wait a minute. He has 455 yards. How many rushes?
On 97 attempts.
Wait,
he has looked explosive, and he is a rookie. So maybe down the road he's somebody who can do something. And he looks like a guy. He looks like he's a good young kid. Just to throw him into the fire right now. Oof, I don't know, man. I don't know. It doesn't look good. But either way, Joe Mixon is much better than him, and even his backup Samaje Perine, better than Isaiah Pacheco at this point.
Wait, Adam.
What's up?
I'd like to point out that Pacheco has 4.7 yards a carry. I did the math.
4.7. All right. All right.
There was one game where he was averaging 7.1, but
I must have been reading the wrong statistic on accident. But I have, just based on offensive firepower, as you mentioned, that's going to be the big difference maker here. And don't look now, but this Cincinnati Bengals team is looking better and better by the week, and they're looking like their old selves from last year. So they just continue to get better. They might have a better record than they did last year, which doesn't say much because they finished 10-7. But a 12-5. Let me look at their record real quick, or their remaining
schedule.
So they have the Browns. They have the Browns after this game against Deshaun Watson. So that's going to be no park. They have the Buccaneers with Tom Brady. That's another tough one. Patriots, I guess they'll be a tough out, but at the same time, we know who's winning that game.
Yeah.
The Bills, that's a tough one. Get your popcorn out for that one. Monday, the 2nd of January, I'm going to be watching that game. And then Ravens-Bengals. And another thing to point out with the Ravens and the Bengals in the AFC North, they have the same record, and they're only split up by head-to-head matchups. And one team, the Bengals in recent weeks have been looking better than the Bengals. So look for that to be. I mean, that's going to be a tight race. So the Bengals kind of need this one here. They kind of need to win this game. And the Chiefs are going to be tough. But, I mean, there's only so much Patrick Mahomes can do with only Juju Smith-Schuster to throw to. And Valdez-Scantling. Valdez-Scantling has been healthy all season. I'll give him that. He still needs to catch more than 50% of his passes, but that's another conversation to be had. He's been reliable through the health standpoint, but without Kadarius Toney, who they newly acquired, without Mecole Hardman, who's been a big piece of that offense, it's going to be tough for them to keep up here. They probably will because he's Patrick Mahomes and he can do anything, but I have the Bengals winning this game, especially since they're hosting. They're hosting the game, so I got them. But it's going to be a great matchup. I'm going to be watching this game. That's one I'm going to be tuning into.
Yeah, I agree, though. I mean, no matter how you slice it, I think the Bengals just have more firepower. That's why I lean with Cincy on that one.
All right. Well, we're going to move on. So the 49ers have been a team that's been on the up and up in recent weeks, especially with the personnel that they've developed over there on the offensive side on the ball. But with a couple of injuries and a tough matchup, that could be going to an end. We'll see if they can survive it in a matchup against the Dolphins. We're going to talk about that next. This is the Fumblerooski podcast. This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright with CJ Medeiros. So the 49ers are going to be hosting the Miami Dolphins. Now the Dolphins they do have a better record and they are healthier, but for some reason ESPN has them as like a 20% underdog. So apparently it has the 49ers as a 64% They are the favorites in this game, 64% chance, and Miami just 35.5, which is weird because looking at this injury report for the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel are both questionable. And from what head coach Kyle Shanahan has been saying about them, they're looking to take a cautious approach. They're looking for health, and they want all of their weapons to be healthy going into the playoffs. And we know how Christian McCaffrey has been with injuries in the past. But at this point in the season, the Seattle Seahawks are hot on their heels with a 6-5 record. They're looking to take back that NFC West lead. And again, the Dolphins are a tough team to beat. And they're mostly healthy here. So I don't understand ESPN right now. But, CJ, can the 49ers pull off the win here?
It's possible. It's unlikely, but it's possible. I mean, look, that Niners defense is insane. You know, top to bottom, they're a very good unit. The Niners offensive line is solid, but you did mention no CMC, no Deebo Samuel. That means guys like Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle and whatever running back they have.
Elijah Mitchell.
Oh, Elijah Mitchell. He could be decent.
He's been really good this year. He's their lead rusher.
Yeah. My point is they got to step up. You know, there's no two ways about it. They got to, like, Mitchell, Ayuk, and Kittle all have to step up. Jimmy G, you don't have to be a world beater, but you have to be, just a mistake-free game, just be a game manager, just play some smart football. But for me, I think the burden is on the Niners defense because you got to deal with Tua. I mean, Tua in and of himself isn't that good, but his weapons elevate him to the next level. You know what I mean? He has transformed since getting Tyreek Hill. He basically has 2 receiver ones. He's got a 1A and 1B in Hill and Waddle. Gesicki, you never know when he's going to go off. And you've got an old friend, Jeff Wilson Jr., out of the backfield. Also, you have Raheem Mostert, too. So my point is, I know it's easier said than done, but I think the magic number is 23. If you somehow keep Miami under 23, I think you win.
Yeah, and you mentioned that duo of the Dolphins in that wide receiver core, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. It's amazing how those two complement each other. Tyreek Hill with the yardage, and then Jalen Waddle with the touchdowns, and both of them being able to put up yardage and also score touchdowns as well. So I don't see how ESPN says that the Dolphins only have a 35% chance of winning this game. Granted, they are away, so the 49ers are hosting this game. But still, I feel like when it comes to the personnel and health, I feel like you can't just look at who's the home team and then just say, well, we're just gonna, we're gonna give it to the home team. It doesn't always work that way. If a team is better, they're gonna go into your house and blow you out of the building.
Yeah, I mean, for example, if let's just say, I don't know, the Eagles, if the Eagles march down to Houston to play the Texans, you're just gonna say, oh, Texans are the home team, they're better. And I mean, because Philly beat Houston at home, but that's neither here nor there. My point is, if you have a team that's really good against the worst team in the league, you say, oh, the worst team in the league is the home team, we'll give them the edge. No, you won't. If you're solely operating on that logic, you shouldn't be allowed to make predictions.
All right, then. Well, I think that so I guess in talking about, because I'm basically yet to give an answer. I think the 49ers have an outside shot to win this game. They deserve to be underdogs. I'm sorry. 49ers are the underdogs in this game.
Yeah.
I do not see why you could possibly have Miami being favored. Excuse me. I don't see how you could have the 49ers being favored. If they were fully healthy with Christian McCaffrey at full strength and Deebo Samuel as well, I would say, yeah, give it to the 49ers. They're hosting too. They're on a hot streak, but so are the Dolphins. They haven't lost since week 6. They've won 5 in a row, and they've done it looking great. Tua actually does kind of look like an MVP candidate. If he didn't miss 3 games, I might have him as my league MVP this year, because he'd probably have more touchdown passes if he didn't miss 3 games.
Yeah, probably.
So how could you? I think the 49ers have a shot. What they're going to have to do is definitely try to run their offense based on run after the catch, which is what they do, but they have to keep the ball out of Tua's hands. Keep the Dolphins defense offense off the field, and continue to just hold on to the ball, score, get ahead, and that's how you're going to do it. And then try to force Tua to make some mistakes in playing from behind. Because when you play from behind, that's when you have to make the riskiest decisions. Force Tua to make some mistakes. And then I think that's how you're going to do it. But I don't think I don't love the 49ers' chances in this game. I don't. And even if Christian McCaffrey plays, even if Deebo Samuel plays, they're going to put him on a snap count. And they're probably going to be really cautious with him. They're not going to use him that much. They're going to put in Kittle. They're going to put in Ayuk, who are both healthy. They're going to use Elijah Mitchell, who are all good, but I don't know if it's good enough with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing to them and trying to keep up with this Miami Dolphins offense, which could light you up for 40 points in a blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be an interesting one. Another great matchup. This one's starting at 4:00. So I'm going to be switching on the channels between Chiefs-Bengals and Dolphins 49ers. These are some good matchups. I'm pretty excited for both of these. What I'm not excited for is, again, for the Patriots to play their next game, because they're probably going to lose again. All right. Well, I want to move on And we have our weekly Fumblerooski fantasy fix. So it's a Friday again. So we have our stardom sit-ems. So anything you're looking to make that playoff push towards the end of your fantasy football season, we got you covered. That's next. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. It's caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins! Sammy Watkins for the touchdown!
You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright here with CJ Medeiros. We have reached our weekly Fumblerooski fantasy fix. So Tuesdays, as usual, we have our waiver wire pickups. And on Fridays, such as today, we have our stardom sit-ems. So you have those two players who you're wondering who you should start, who you should sit. We got you covered. All right. So starting with running back, as always, we're going to start Jamal Williams versus Jacksonville and Bam Knight at Minnesota. For sits, we're going to put Jeff Wilson at San Francisco on the bench and Gus Edwards versus Denver. For wide receivers, we have start Devontae Smith versus Tennessee, and we're also going to put Christian Kirk on the bench at Detroit. We're going to start Christian Kirk at Detroit.
I was going to say.
the guy who's going to ride the pine, though, we're going to sit Brandon Cooks versus Cleveland and Treylon Burks at Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to tight ends, we're going to start Cole Kmet versus Green Bay now that Justin Fields has been cleared to play. And we're going to start Gerald Everett at Las Vegas. For sits, we're going to put in Greg Dulcich at Baltimore and Evan Ingram at Detroit. For quarterbacks, we're going to start Trevor Lawrence at Detroit and Jared Goff versus Jacksonville. Those two quarterbacks are facing each other.
Yeah.
I'm betting on that to be a shootout.
I hope.
We'll see. I have Travis Etienne, so
yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I do in another league. I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah, and for those of you who are wondering why we stopped mentioning Travis Etienne, it's because he's a no-brainer now. So if you're thinking of whether or not to start Travis Etienne, what are you asking us for? Put that guy in your starting lineup. He's a wide receiver 1 now.
I'm sorry, a what?
Jesus Christ. He's a running back. He's a running back 1 now. I think it's from that argument earlier on that we had about wide receiver 1s.
It's all right. I forgive you.
But you're starting Travis Etienne. All right. But as for sits, Tom Brady versus New Orleans and Aaron Rodgers at Chicago. And side note, if you were to tell me before the season started that I would be putting these two quarterbacks as sits at this point in the season, I would have thought you're freaking crazy. But here we are. It's 2022 and the league is ass backwards. All right.
Yeah, that's the truth.
As for defenses, we're going to start Seahawks at Los Angeles, as in the Rams. And we're going to start Ravens versus Denver. We're going to sit 49ers versus Miami and Broncos at Baltimore. All right. There you guys have it. That is your Week 13 stardom sit-ems for this week. Good luck to you guys in your matchups. We hope you make the playoffs. Unless you're in a league against me, then I hope you guys fail and that I make it over you guys. But we'll see.
Oh, yeah, Adam, what about the league that you and I are in?
Which one? There's two. There's the
the one of our friends.
Podcast lead.
No, not that one.
I'm still in it. I'm still in it. I need a lot of things to go right for me. I'm 4-8 right now. I need to finish 5-8. Excuse me. I have to finish 6-8.
Yeah.
And I have to have scored more points than the other teams who are 6-8. And then I can make the playoffs. We'll see. I'm not completely out of it. It's like I'm throwing Hail Marys right now.
It could be worse.
Some last-second Hail Marys. I'm not completely out.
Yeah. Dude, I hear you, man. All I'm going to say is I'm not going to name names, but it's somebody you know. I'm in a different league, and this one guy who is in the league, I think I just beat him. He's now like 2-10.
Yeah.
So it could always be worse, unless you're 2-10 guy.
All right. Well, I got a Twitter update from Cameron Wolf. He said Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase with his hip and running back Joe Mixon, concussion, both listed as questionable. However, Bengals head coach Zach Taylor indicated both are trended towards playing. So it looks like they're going to be at full strength for their offense. However, Chiefs wide receiver Kadarius Toney with the hamstring has been ruled out again. So as I said, that Chiefs offense, I mean, they're kind of trending in the right direction as far as health is going because Juju Smith-Schuster's back and he's their wide receiver 1. And they have a wide receiver 2 in Marquez Valdes-Scantling. But, I mean, it's a no-brainer who has the edge in the pass-catching department.
Ain't that the truth?
But in the Chiefs' defense, they have Travis Kelce. So they have 3 to throw to. And they could always throw to the running backs. So Patrick Mahomes is going to find a way to stay in this game. But I have the Bengals winning that game. But it'll be a close one. And it's one that I grab your popcorn, get some wings, get some chips. That's going to be a fun one to watch. And I bet it's going to be a nail biter. I'm actually very excited for that game. All right, CJ, any other thoughts before we end the show tonight?
Fire Matt Patricia. That is all.
All right. I might be with you there. Maybe after the season. But that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. We have new episodes out on Tuesdays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and so much more. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Over and out.